Hi, this is Tina, and welcome to Joyful Entrepreneurs with my beautiful guest, Nalini from Chalice of Wisdom. Welcome back, Nalini.
Hi, Tina. It's nice to be here.
Yay. Gosh, we were having a little chat before we started recording about the interesting energies on the planet at the moment. And I'd love for you to just share a bit about what the heck is going on. I mean, there is, ever since the solstice, it's like such an influx of light. It's like, and I think we've heard it so many times, there's this light activations, downloads. It's almost becoming, what else? What else is going on here? It feels amazing at the same time.
Yeah, it does. Well, it is. Light activations, downloads, input. I mean, the solstice wasn't what I would call, or actually what sources said through me, is an obliteration point. It obliterated all of the old stuff that was in the way for each of us. And everyone I've talked to has said, well, wait a minute, it just seems like it's worse. It seems like there's stuff coming up, and there are things that I thought I dealt with years ago, or not, or that stuff is gone, but it's just really crunchy and hard, and all of a sudden a block will show up or something like that. And it's not backlash. And it's not that there's anything in the way, and it's not that you're creating blocks anymore. Nothing is as it seems to be. This is your mind, your ego, what's left of even your knowing, your awareness saying, well, okay, this is what this must be, and I have to deal with it. No, what we need to do is, it's like being in a river when you fall out of the raft and you kick your feet up and you put them in front of you and you trust that the water and the personal flotation device, or whatever you're not wearing at the moment, will keep you afloat and will get you through this. This is what we need to do. What we're in right now is a time of not backlash, but fallout, literal fallout, like after a volcano blows, and we're in all of this ash and everything. And it's just, something shows up peripherally or otherwise, or in your face or whatever, just don't breathe it in. I mean, don't, just sort of let yourself be navigated around it. And the more that we do that trust fall, we've built the trust muscle. It's there, some more than others, but it's there. And it's just saying, okay, it's time to use it and let this carry us. This light isn't meant to obliterate us. It's meant to obliterate the stuff that's in the way of it, and that can be us or not, depending on how we choose to hold it. So right now we're on this sort of threshing floor. I mean, I heard one of the astrologers that I read their stuff said it was like the karmic ringer, the double ringer where you bring the clothes out to read them. I don't know about that. I mean, the karma word is it's kind of like some of the other words. It's so heavily charged, but really, what I did like that this person said was, karma is one of the ways that the universe shows its love for us, because it's always teaching us, it's always helping us. And the way we interpret that is, I'm going to get pounded again. And therefore we are. Because as we hold it in our beliefs and our attitudes is what happens to us. If we can look at this tsunami of light, this love that the universe is pouring out to us, and say, oh, this is here to support me. This is a really important thing. This is here to support and acknowledge and appreciate. And this is here to support me. Support is really important right now. Let it do that. Let it carry you. Let it not just have your back. I mean, how many people's backs are out right now? It's actually hilarious. That's a support issue, always. It's like, no, remember that literally the love field, the light, the universe has your back, and you can trust that. And just giving your body the instruction and the permission to let go of all those other beliefs and let this happen. And then you get navigated around the things that would be uncomfortable, and not always the inconveniences, because that's just, a threshing floor is like that, but it's really just knowing that you could just take a deep breath and let the light come through you and just blow it all away. Mm-hmm. And let spirit do that through you. And then you have clear sailing. And the really funny part to me, is that then everybody freaks out. It's like, ooh, clear sailing. What do I do with that? I haven't had that in this life so far. You know?
Yes.
And that's where we are right now, is that the opportunity for clear sailing. So some will choose to wade through the ash, you know, little mask in place or whatever, you know, or not. And it's silly, because really that's just, it's clean, you know, that kind of ash, it's just clean. It's the leftovers from what had to go away. And let that new energy carry you. It's a new kind of learning. It's learning by immersion. We are learning by immersion now. There's not going to be a manual downloaded. No book's going to, well, they do fall off bookshelves at me, but you know, some of you, but they don't. Nothing's going to fall. No manual is going to fall into your hands from the sky. You know, there's no going to be a big Monty Python finger coming down saying this way. You know, there's nothing like that. It's just, we will learn by immersion in these energies. And the more we can trust them, they really are there to support us, and not in the hard way, not in the no pain, no gain way. That was the martyrdom cycle. You know, it's really letting go into that. You know?
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting, because I had just recently, over the last month or so, I've just kept seeing the analogy of that movie, The Truman Show, you know, with Jim Carrey. And I think
Yes.
this is such a brilliant example of, like, having lived in this stage set of perceived limitations, thinking that that's all there was. So all the no pain, no gain, all the rules and everything. And then when you're realizing that, wait, if you let that whole stage set just walk away, or just let it dissolve, and just imagine set it to light and just let that burn, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then what feels at the moment is happening is that it's more the having the awareness that it's the habits of behavior that we're so used to functioning in that old stage set that need to be updated. And so this is where the constant reminders kick in, to really just truly say, yeah, you know, times in it all, you know, to really trusting and allowing yourself to just be that flow didn't work in that old stage set, you know. So
not as well. It worked, but not as well. No, it was harder.
And so therefore it's like, now I feel like for many sets of it, realizing that the habits of wanting to do things in the old way, so much wanting control, of fear of not trusting, and blah blah blah, that finally saying, you know what, just let all of that go now too.
Yeah, well, none of them are going to work now. I mean, that's the thing. The real fact of the matter, you know, and what matters manifests, is that none of those old ways of doing are going to work. That's what got obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
And so the harder we try to do things in an old way, the more things are not going to work. The more inconveniences are going to happen, because you're setting yourself up for something that's going to dissolve in your hands or under your feet, you know, or around you, and it won't function. And that's the learning by immersion.
Yeah.
You know, this is how we learn now. This is the new learning, because there's no reference for it. There's no context mentally for how to do this. The minds will learn, you know, but they won't learn first and everything comes later. It'll be the other way around now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So
one of the things that I have found to be very, very, very supportive is the essence tuning from the living as multidimensional oneness. I mean, those motivations are just so beautiful. I was really experiencing it over the last week, particularly, that feeling as if I was being flung all over the place energetically. And I'm like, okay, let me just listen to this. And it's like, such a fast reset. Yeah, so those are just awesome.
Well, thank you. That's really good to hear. That's the response it has gotten. We put that program together. It's written up in the book. It's a series of 12 modulations, and 13 actually, but 13 is a separate one. It's, you know, it's sort of the prerequisite is going through, and it was set up as a year-long course. And it's the image and the music that goes with it, but they're set up, each modulation is a specific set of vibrations, of frequencies, and it's for discerning, it's for learning by immersion in it, how your body's, your essence reacts to them. Now, some of the frequencies, especially in some of the earlier ones, the body might be a little bit uncomfortable with. And the people who went through the live course it's available self-paced now, had issues with that. They were like, well, wait a minute, this is really uncomfortable. And I would say, no, good, that's for you to find that out. Now, ask your bodies, ask your essence, is that because I'm not letting go into this, I'm not being able to harmonize with it, and I need to be? Or is it because really, this is just something that's interesting? None of them are harmful. It's interesting, but it might not be for me. And then as you go further, as the body starts to learn this way, learn by immersion, learn by entrainment, then they get stronger and they get stronger, and you get to the middle, and it starts to really take off. And like you've gotten to that point and gotten past them now, where you're in the ones that really, these are the vibrations and the music and the images that really facilitate the big breakthroughs. It really facilitates a person moving into their essence. And it's individual. Everyone has an individual experience that goes through these. And the feedback was completely 100% positive. I mean, for me, it was an experiment. I know this works. I've done this in other worlds and in lots of lives. I know this works. But the really fun part for me was when people first started it, even in the first couple of modulations, and they're coming back going, this is what I've been waiting for. This really works. And when we all know music works, it's mood altering. It shifts different centers in our brain. It's not just about that. It's the combined vibration with the transmission of light that comes through it. And it was really fun, because my first feedback to the team, my creative team, because I can't do all the video and the composing and everything myself, I have a team that works with me, was, it's working. It's really working for people. It's making these shifts. It's not just a little Satori shift where somebody's like, oh, I pop into the light and then I pop back out. But these shifts where people were reporting, well, I studied the image enough until I imprinted it on my neocortex. That's the scientific thing of it. A few people have mentioned that. You're one of them.
Yeah.
And then they say, and then all of a sudden, I listen to the music, but they're used to like gazing at a yantra or doing a mantra or listening to a specific piece of spiritual music, and they think something will happen during that time. Well, it does, but it's very, very subtle. And then what people are reporting is like they'd be walking down the street and all of a sudden they're hearing the music in their head and they're having a completely different experience of reality on that street. Better, as in this is better. I could be walking down a crowded street, as one person reported, and all of a sudden I'm actually hearing it. Or I'm walking through a difficult experience, and that image, I'm walking in the image, and I'm seeing what's happening. So this is what was starting to occur for people, is they're actually going through the immersion experience. And it's funny because not one person, no one thought they were hallucinating, because they're not. No one thought that it was. I mean, it was really fun to put it together. So it's going to be exciting for me to have you go through the completions the last couple months, so that see what happens, see what you feel.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it really feels like it's almost like having had windscreen wipers go and clearing out the perceptual fields, and all of a sudden realizing that what's been there all along, but I wasn't able to access, and now it's there. And it's like going to high definition, and suddenly you see colors there that you're like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Yeah, it's
exactly. Like exactly. It's a clearing and a sorting and a shifting of your perceptual fields. Your lenses of perception shift. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun way to do it. Anyone can do it. It doesn't matter what you believe or what you practice or anything. It's the light and the sound coming through and saying, here, this is what's available to you. And it will affect each one of us in a positive and very different, unique way. So.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So
blessing in it.
Yeah. So while we're talking about it, it kind of ties into, I'd love to talk a little bit about your book, Walk a New Way, which is just so beautiful. The stories are, I mean, it is just one of those. I had a favorite book before, but this is now replaced it. So,
wow. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah. And so, Walk a New Way, and the experiences that you've had along the way. And there's one of the stories where you are talking about the sounds coming through and the essence tuning. And when I was reading that, it was like, I felt, well, with all the stories, it felt like I was right there. So it's like I'm experiencing it with you as you're sharing it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That means my writing skills are improving, so that's good.
Awesome. You've always been really great at storytelling.
I'm learning.
Yeah. No, really. Beautiful to read. But as you were talking about that experience with receiving the sounds and then tuning in and suddenly you're hearing something and you're capturing it and it's like it's just coming alive, it just gave a whole different feeling to the essence tuning that I had already experienced. So I'd love you to share a little bit about what was that like being? Is that where it all began?
No, because this is something, as I said, this is something I'm very familiar with. I know how this works. I've had sort of what you would call music downloads my whole life. Some of them I would hum or sing or play with. My longest term relationship is Jeremy, my little Spanish guitar, It's like, I got Jeremy when I was 11. He's named after the Nowhere Man in Yellow Submarine. But anyway, I would play with that or tap them out on the piano and then pretty much just not do anything with them. As a child, you're playing around too much. And we didn't have all the massive digital equipment that we have now that we take so for granted. So it didn't really start there. It started long ago, but the inception of the Living as Multidimensional Oneness program, of the resonators that we're creating where it's an image and sound, or some of the other things that we've started with other people, the prisms, which are custom, to a person's energy. That all started with the retreat that I wrote about that happened in Crestone, where the team came. These people took a month out of their lives and showed up, in the mountains in a very remote place where it's very still. And let's just say there aren't a lot of the first world amenities. This is a real retreat kind of space. And we just, although we hooked up, the internet and got all the digital stuff going. And it was just the most fun just to have all these things come in. So part of it started there, the ideas for, the inception of how to put these things out there. I had been thinking of this for years. Like I had wanted to put sort of production numbers together. I agree with Calvin and Hobbes, like dance numbers. Anyway, I had wanted to do this for years and just never, I didn't go into film. My education is in music. I didn't, it was one of those things that like, and I know about that business. I used to work in it, blah, blah, blah. Like that's going to be the true anymore. But it started to come through there. And then it was we'll take that and interface that, unify that with the mystical journeying, because I live a mystical life. I live in a mystical world. If I'm in downtown Manhattan or out in nature, it's the same to me, not vibrationally what the body is in, but my experience of it. So it was take these mystical journeys. So we started, to do these little beta trips, went to Mont Saint Michel, went to Brittany, did some recordings there, went out into the Field of Stones at Karnak, which I haven't really written up that story completely yet. There's a bit of it in the book, but about singing with the stones and watching the grid light up and having the downloads that come through the stones. And that comes through the standing people. It comes through the trees. It comes, the green world. There's music everywhere all the time. And it isn't just a matter of listening. It's a matter of how your lenses of perception, actually your perceptual array, your sensory array, how is it open to this? And then all my life people have said, well, how is that practical? For me, what could be more practical? Because it tunes my field. It allows me to navigate the planet and not have it take me out. Just because I'm a very, very sensitive being. But it was that. So really the fun in that, and then starting to have these little mini retreats that are being offered where, we bring people in and we may or may not record music, or I may not take the digital equipment out into these spaces and do that. But it's a matter of really feeling the energies and what's possible and how things are being altered as the light moves through our world. So that particular experience that I wrote about was sort of the formal inception of all of the things that are happening now. Yeah.
It was really cool. So I'm reading it and it's like you're receiving a sound or you're trying to get that in the digital version, and then the tweaking and everything. It's like, wow, you know, talk about capturing, bringing the energy into full.
Yeah, because I'm playing with the little keyboard and trying to use the presets on the synthesizers. You know, they have certain sounds and certain frequencies and everything, and they're not right. And I just sometimes it's like, sometimes they are, and sometimes now in certain energies, I know I've learned. I've had to sort of go to synth school. You know, I've had to learn, like, oh, these ones will work for those energies and other ones won't. It'll blow them out, or they just, it's so dissonant you can't stand to touch the keyboard because the vibration is awful. But at first there's so much light that comes through me when I do that sometimes I literally have to have, you know, another team person there. And there was one time in Karnak, I was just at night in this field of standing stones, and I'm downloading this stuff, and I'm like, here, these presets aren't right. See if you can figure out what works, you know, because I get, you know, the tones that are coming through aren't matching, and this little stone is singing with me, and I'm making horrific noise, you know. Like, at least, I mean, the vibration would have come through. You can change it. The beauty of the digital devices is anything that you set with one of those, you can change it, and it will sound different. So I know the energy will come through. But it was really funny. And without having I forgot, I have the earbuds in, right? I'm the one who can hear it. But the person working with me, because of the energy coming through, says, oh, well, what about this one and this one and this one, this one? And they were right. Because the energy just altered that person and said, here, this is what has to happen. This is the kind of collaboration that just makes it worth being here for me.
Yeah.
You know, just this makes it worth it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, for everyone who's watching who's curious, you know, to find out more, I would definitely, for starters, recommend reading Walk a New Way if you haven't already read it. And also, you know, to check out the Living as Multidimensional Oneness program, because you receive this beautiful, beautiful image and this beautiful music that goes with it, and every 2 weeks. And I can tell, you know, it's just, no matter how many times I've had the experience of things being created and then years later them showing up in someone's life at just the right time, I'm still amazed when it happens again, you know? And that's with the modulations from the Living this Multidimensional Oneness is amazing. So whenever...
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yes! So yeah, get those. And it's a wonderful way, very simple, very easy, and very effective to really just tune your energy throughout the day. So what's nicer than to put in, you know, your earbuds and to just listen to this beautiful music and put it on loop and just yeah. So it's
great.
That's all on your website, so we'll post the link below. And yes, so is there anything else that you would like to just share with us to support with the energy activations at the moment?
Oh my gosh. The biggest thing really is to roll with it. I mean, really don't fight it. Don't think, oh, here's a huge wave, I have to stand fast. I have to be like a barnacle. You know, I have to really just let it roll through me. No, just go with it. Let it carry you. And let the energy carry you. It will take you to good places. It will take you to better things. It will bring new ideas. It will flush away all the stuff that doesn't need to be there anymore. You know, all the old identities. You know, it will take all of that with it and bring you to some other way of being that it's brilliant. You know, you're meant to shine. So that's the best thing I say. Kick your feet up and go with the river. You know?
Yeah. enjoy the ride. Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Well, thanks, Nalini. And well, until we meet again, many joyful blessings. And I look forward to seeing what else is going to be shared through Chalice Wisdom. And until then, have fun riding the waves and playing.
Exactly.
All right. See you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.